imagination is this word that keeps getting like tossed around, and I want us to be careful because I don't want us to think that imagination is just this word that we're using so that people can figure out a way to self medicate and a way to kind of escape like the reality that we all find ourselves in. Like, no, imagination has a purpose. The reason why I'm harping on the privilege of imagination is because so much of what we're experiencing right now are the tools of the unimaginative. And so when you think about how it is that we counter this like feckless bitch assness essentially, um, but this small mindedness that reaches for how to exert power over other people and to narrow the experiences of other people in order to make yourself feel big, like that is a very old playbook. We're not seeing anything new. Like strategically they've got it together because they're, coordinated, but in terms of the actual ideas, they're really just rolling it back. They're not doing anything that's actually new. And so myself and a lot of other people are harping on this idea of imagination because we have to expand the contours of the playbook in terms of convincing ourselves and changing our own minds first about what is possible, because we are trying to rewrite the rules of the game and the expectations that we even have of ourselves. And so much of this moment is about, yes, making the case to ourselves, but like asking ourselves, are we willing to scrap for it? And not just in the street, in the streets, not just in the streets, right? Like, are we willing to scrap for it inside of ourselves in terms of like making the case to ourselves about how it is that we're willing to show up, about who it is that we not just say that we are, but who it is that we actually have proven to ourselves that we show up as. Because right now, I feel like there's this huge gap between who it is that we say that we are, what it is that we're about, and who it is that we challenge ourselves to be in our everyday lives. And like that to me is the work of this moment. It starts there. Though in a lot of ways it is about the learned strategy from our predecessors in terms of like how it is that we organize, how it is that we practice this relational organizing within our immediate spaces to start generating critical masses, for sure. All of that is needed. But in other ways, it is about a complete reimagining of how it is that we fight fire with fire. Because honestly, like I never really understood that, because you don't fight fire with fire. Like you fight fire with water. It's what's needed for the job. It is the antithesis of the fire. It's what negates. We need the thing that is going to snuff out this lack of imagination and this cruelty that we are experiencing. And so that is asking us to practice more, radical imagination, radical compassion, more radical self knowing, more radical accountability, more radical collective care, because none of those things are actually radical, but they are antithetical to what it is that we're actually experiencing right now. And that is why that language is used. And so we're in this moment where, in a world where we're going to have to redesign everything, how do we first start by reimagining and making it less taboo the ways in which we describe our own shortcomings and the ways in which we describe where it is that we want to be more and do more for ourselves, for each other, because we can't just keep talking about how it is that we want to feel better. We need to start talking about what it is that we can ask of ourselves in this moment to make peace with this discomfort and understand it as a vehicle to something more, as opposed to waiting for people to spoon feed us what the solutions are. I don't want the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to only feel heavy or to only feel like struggle. Like we have to struggle because we have to use the friction of this moment to spark the change that we want to see, for sure. But the reason why it only feels heavy every time we talk about it is because we're only talking about it this much at the time, when instead we could be ideating and using our imaginations to start describing what it is that we affirmatively want to put in place, not just these policies, but how it is that we want our relationships to feel, how it is that we want to feel inside of ourselves and inside of our own lives, how it is that we want to redesign this country after 250 years of knowing, kind of exactly what this othering has gotten us, and saying, okay, if we had to sit up here as the people who are here now planning for the next 250 years, what do we want to do differently? And how can I be as honest as possible to make sure that this moment is somewhat useful as opposed to just being the moment that ends us? It all doesn't have to feel like this. Change requires work, but it doesn't have to feel just like suffering. If we don't figure out how it is that we have a more empowered understanding of who it is that we are and what it is that we're capable of, not just waiting for somebody to tell us what to do, that to me is the first step. And in order to like walk before we run, we have to just start there. There is no yellow brick road without us deciding that we are the bricklayers. And I don't know about you guys, but I want out of this because I believe that me and the people that I know and the people that I love and the people that I want to care for, whether we are related or not, whether I know you or not, I want to use my life as a vehicle for expanding my own experiences, my own joy, but also the experiences and the joy and the freedom of anybody that I come into contact with. And I take that seriously. And until we're willing to be there and not just in our own kind of like hyper focused, very disconnected spaces, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many panels we do. It doesn't matter how many videos we make screaming into the void like me. You know, like we have to reshape everything, and the first step to that is viewing this as an immense opportunity that has very real and practical implications, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to believe that you can do it, but I certainly believe that I can and that the people I know can. And it's just like, how do we fan those flames? We're here. It's us.